Surviving HotLand conditions requires special skills and knowledge. This program will acquaint you with survival techniques for the HotLand environment. 1/5 of the Earth's landmass is desert terrain. There are more than 80 named deserts on Earth, but we must not confine our perceptions of HotLand environments only to desert terrain. Deserts are defined as those areas which receive less than 10 inches of rainfall per year. Deserts generally fall into one of three categories: sand, rock, or salt. A desert may be a combination of any or all of these. But a HotLand area does not necessarily mean a desert area. A HotLand environment can exist wherever there is excessively high temperature with little or no water available. When North America was being settled, the plains and high plains areas west of the Mississippi River were referred to as the Great American Desert. Although there are plenty of waterways and there is precipitation in this vast area most of the year, the summer months are quite arid. This condition creates a HotLand environment during those months. When flying over this type of terrain, pilots must be adequately prepared to survive in the event of a forced landing or accident. Let's begin by looking at the topographical surroundings you'll encounter if you find yourself in a HotLand survival situation. The characteristics of a HotLand terrain can vary greatly from one environment to another. Generally, you'll be surrounded by low brush, cacti, and succulents, sandy and rocky surfaces, and little water. There may be hills or mountains in the area. Foliage, animal life, and water are likely to be limited. Shelter will be your main concern, as exposure to the sun will greatly increase the onset of hyperthermia. Hyperthermia is a condition in which the body reaches a dangerously high temperature. Because of this danger, priorities must be established, and a plan of action must be formulated. Trying to survive without a plan of action predisposes you to injury and excessive loss of body fluids. The greatest threat you will face in a HotLand survival situation is heat. Retaining your body fluids should be your top priority. Losing too much of your body fluids can lead to dehydration. Here are some key survival tips for conserving body fluids. Never ration your water. People have been found dead with water still in their canteens. Always drink as much as you can at one time. You must conserve your sweat, not your water. Limit your activities during the hot hours of the day to reduce fluid loss. Even limited activities can cause a rise in body core temperature. If body heat is not reduced, it can cause vital organs to shut down, eventually resulting in death. Let's look at the cooling mechanism of the body and how it regulates body temperature. The primary cooling system of the body is the circulatory system. It acts very much the same as the cooling system of the engine in your automobile. Your metabolism has the function of burning fuel or nutrients and oxygen within your cells, which creates heat, much the same as the combustion inside your car's engine. Your blood absorbs this heat, as does the water in your car's engine, and is pumped to the tissues of the skin and lungs. This stimulates the sweat glands to release moisture at the skin surface where it evaporates. This process draws heat from the blood, which of course cools it. Heat is also released from the lungs through exhaled water vapor. This action is termed transpiration. If the quantity of fluids in the skin is reduced to the point that perspiration stops, the cooling system will cease functioning. This is similar to the way your car engine overheats and shuts down if its cooling system runs dry. If you do not replenish your fluids in sufficient quantity, fluid loss may exceed fluid intake. This is why rationing, in essence, just wastes the water you drink. The rule to remember is, conserve your sweat, not your water. Now, let's discuss the stages and physiological problems associated with hyperthermia. It's important to recognize these symptoms and know how to treat them. Hyperthermia can manifest itself in the form of heat cramps or heat exhaustion and may eventually lead to heat stroke. The first stage of hyperthermia is heat cramps. Heat cramps are painful, involuntary spasms of the major muscles used in intense exercise. Heat cramps are common in hot weather and are believed to be caused by excessive water and sodium loss through sweating. The recommended treatment for cramps is drinking a saline solution of 1 teaspoon of salt in 1 liter of water. Prevention of heat cramps is best done by maintaining adequate hydration and salt intake. The next stage is heat exhaustion. It is a precursor to heat stroke. As with heat cramps, heat exhaustion is caused by excessive fluid loss. Heat exhaustion is characterized by profuse sweating, elevated temperature, fatigue, hyperventilation, dizziness, nausea, and vomiting. Your mental abilities and judgment may also be impaired. Heat exhaustion is easily treated by drinking plenty of fluids. External cooling is helpful too. Ice packs may be safely used. The final stage of hyperthermia is heat stroke. Heat stroke occurs when the body heat loss mechanisms are insufficient to meet environmental demands. Heat stroke is characterized by hot, dry skin, body core temperature greater than 106 degrees Fahrenheit, irritability, confusion, difficulty concentrating, headache, cold chills, and can progress to coma. A common misconception is that sweating always ceases when one is suffering heat stroke. Although this usually occurs, profuse sweating may be experienced, as with heat exhaustion. Therefore, it is imperative that the body core temperature be reduced to 102 degrees Fahrenheit as rapidly as possible. This reduction can be accomplished by placing the victim in a shaded area, applying ice packs or wet cloths, and exposing the victim to breezes or fanning to accelerate evaporation. As with any heat stress, rapid fluid replacement is crucial. There are several factors that can influence heat loss or dissipation: physical condition, age, and most importantly, shelter. Physical condition and weight can affect heat tolerance. Overweight people are less heat tolerant than others. It is not apparent whether the excess weight or lack of physical conditioning is the problem. Fat is an insulator, so it decreases heat loss to the environment. Lack of conditioning may cause the overweight person to lack the good circulation necessary for effective cooling. Age is another factor that may influence heat loss. Elderly people and children are at a higher risk when exposed to excessive heat. A possible cause for a lower heat tolerance in older people is the reduction in sweat production. Heat intolerance in children may be due to several factors: their greater surface area to mass ratio, reduced sweat production, and higher metabolic rates. In a survival situation, think about physical condition and weight, elderly people and children if aboard the aircraft. Another very important factor in preventing heat stress is shelter. Your first source of shelter is clothing. In a HotLand environment, remove garments that impair heat loss from your body. Wear enough clothing to protect yourself from the harmful rays of the sun. When dressing for a HotLand environment, use the following guidelines. Keep clothing baggy and layered. This helps to insulate you from the hot environment. Wear light-colored clothing. It reflects direct sunlight away from the body. Keep all areas of the body covered and protected, especially the head and the back of the neck. Keep clothing on. Never pull clothing completely off to cool yourself. Remove layers or make clothing more baggy as needed. Sheltering yourself from the elements should be a top priority. It is critical in any survival situation that you protect yourself from environmental extremes. Exposure is the main cause of death in a survival situation. Even if you or others are injured, it is critical that you find immediate protection from the